Hey friends, I'm Arthur Perkins, this is APGamingREAL. Welcome to Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, The Last Scion, Episode 1. From here on out, I'll be turning everything over to Grimdark James, our Game Master, our Space Master. I do have one question that is important to the audience. What sets this show aside from other similar shows? What reason do they have for continuing beyond these 35 seconds? Go.
This one will probably keep going beyond the point that most shows just peter out and have no storyline, because I've written a storyline that goes through until a conclusion rather than just winging it. So there's so many Rogue Trader shows I've watched getting ready for this, just they stopped running at some point. So that's what I can offer you.
So James,
you're
promising
you're
we will
doing
run
what
forever.
the Star Wars movies did not, is what I hear.
Wow. Sid,
delivering?
Wow,
Yeah.
right out the gate.
Delivering a cohesive story.
100%. Sid, maybe dial it back a little bit. James, you're in charge now until the break. And then
Hey Sid, I got some bullets here if you need to reload, my dude.
Excellent.
You know you're going to run like the intros, AP? I thought you'd still like run the show.
no,
just run the game.
you're up.
Okay, no worries. All right.
No,
well,
I can do it if you want me to.
Yeah, I think that you've got the experience. We need to make
This is the easiest part of the entire show, but sure. Friends, APGamingREAL here. Tonight, I'll be playing Nero, Julius, Augustus Bullet. Some know him as an Arch-Militant, others know him as a survivor. I'm a tabletop RPG game master. I'm also an electrical engineer. And I'm not very good at video games. Allow me to interview the rest of the cast so that you might know a little bit more about them before we get on with this Rogue Trader thing. And I don't know, we'll like fly in a ship and we'll do crime. And I know you're thinking, these guys said that they were going to trade. They weren't going to do crime in episode 0. But if there's one thing I know about role-playing games, we're just going to commit a ton of crimes.
I mean, I am present, so the chances of that happening are high.
See, here's the thing. He's to my left-hand side, but on the overlay, he's to my right. So I'm going to use the overlay perspective. To my right, Atomic Warsmith. What can you tell us about yourself and your character?
What are you talking about myself? I am Tom Warsmith. I stream video games on the internet sometimes and deal with real-life shenanigans. I'm a rapid onset lead injection enthusiast, and I love me some Warhammer. So my cat has been thrown into the room. It's great. Yeah, I just play games usually and go off on tangents, and it's pretty much what I do here. I'm playing a Explorator tech priest named Cyrax Lex, who is probably going to be a smartass. So it's gonna be pretty fun. It's gonna be different from the other tech priest I've ever played. That kind of character, so it should be pretty good.
To the right of my right, Sid Alpha. What can you tell me about yourself and your character?
Yes, hello, I am Sid Alpha. Tell you something about myself. I am extremely sick, so I hope everyone can bear that in mind, that my voice doesn't have its normal quality to it, and I might not be as high. I was going to say high energy, but when am I ever really actually high energy?
You're talking about Star Wars.
I'm a YouTuber. I do a lot of games industry critique and industry news on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/SidAlpha. And I will be playing the character Garth Valance. I am a noble-born Astropath transcendent, which means I can fry you with my brain.
Well, theoretically.
Theoretically, assuming I pass my will checks, which this is dice rolling. And we all know how wonderful I am with dice rolls.
Now,
so
I've seen you
the possibility of that is extremely low. But
I've seen you get the exact number needed for a score, so I have faith that you will.
I'm worried at the one time he won't, because it only takes once.
It's true. Just everybody keep a 10, 20 feet radius from him, and you should be fine.
I have seen many a psyker become possessed by demons and or sucked into the warp. So this would be good.
I mean, on the literal first encounter we had with the Psyker in Wrath and Glory, you managed to demonify it, so...
Yeah, no, not to use that card over again.
That was not actually me, though.
I meant in a as the game master. I was speaking in your group.
The royal you.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
made
no,
the encounter
not-
far more terrifying than it was supposed to be.
Yeah, you almost faced a
Yeah, well,
triple threat of a heavy flamer on you guys.
That was an interesting fight though. It really
Yeah.
was.
yeah. No, imagine it's like a chance of getting that card every time you use your abilities, because that's exactly what's going to be like. Like rule one of the FFG games is always shoot the psych first.
Geek the
Fantastic.
mage. It's the rule.
Yeah, keep the mage, of course.
As a commissar, I've had to execute 3 psychers. Let's just put it that way. In other games. So it'll be fun.
Got anything else, Sid?
That's negative.
Pondo, you are to the right of the person to my right. Right.
And he's muted.
I don't remember muting myself, but yes, I am to the right. Yep, right of the right. Yes, I am Ponder upon the Mad. I am on other streams and stuff like BattleTech or some recordings like the Board Game Cult and Pokemans. I also have my own show on Sundays, which is Hunters of Ulvern, which is a 5e Gestalt game. Which recently I found out Gestalt was a German language, and I've been saying it wrong the entire first time, so I was told. So
Most of
You
the
said
good
it right that
words
time.
have
But you said
Germanic.
Pokemon wrong.
no, I've been making sure I saying it right since you told me, because you didn't say it with rage, but I felt it. I felt the disappointment, so I was like, I can't get it wrong anymore.
I say everything would barely contain rage.
Story of my life. That's the name of my autobiography. Barely contain rage.
Fair enough.
That's why I just don't contain it.
You're right.
What can you tell us about your character tonight?
I am playing Pierre Cowles. He is the rogue trader of the group, and not as sucky as I thought he was going to be, because I completely missed the fact that we had just 100 points just to throw into the random stats. So I'll be actual use and not some.
Yeah. For those who are unaware, Pondo did the equivalent of not rolling his characteristic stats.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Did you spend the
Until
whole week
5
workshopping
minutes
like a
ago.
really useless personality to go with your useless stats?
No, but it's not hard to make one up on a fly, so. It was going to be a Zap Brannigan, I can tell you that much.
Zed Brannigan.
Hey, we must go through the warp.
My God. She's built like a steakhouse, but she handles like a bistro.
Yeah. I'm still going to forego getting dodge for now.
Dodge is like perception in this game. If he asks if you want to use it, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay. Got anything else?
I got nothing else.
To the right of my right's right. Grimdark James.
Wouldn't that be to the right of your right's right?
That's right.
Correct. So I am
Left.
Grimdark James. I am a podcaster, a freelance game writer. I'm a long-time 40K player and have run a lot of Rogue Trader in the past, including having run a 60-player Rogue Trader LARP for several years. If you missed out on the episode 0 show with character creation, you might not have heard that this is actually the second 40K campaign this group is doing. You can catch Arthur's Wrath and Glory campaign over on Arthur's YouTube channel as well, if you haven't caught that before. But yeah, I'll be playing everybody else tonight, as I am the GM of today's game. So we get a chance to see how Arthur goes as a player. I don't know if everyone's as excited as I am to see this, but I think that there's some audience desire for this as a content, Arthur.
You know, I gotta tell you, the audience is definitely going to be disappointed. They're expecting Lord Count Ronald Swan, and unfortunately, Pondo is our Ronald Swan. So,
Yes.
Are you going to be Mr. Presidenting, though? Is that
no,
the question?
that's not my job.
No, he's just going to be, it's like, just don't die.
Listen, you know
Okay.
how some people have protect, but they do it with 2 C's at the end and not an extra T? That's not me. I kill,
Okay.
but with 3 L's.
Gotcha.
You need the extra L to refill the ammo.
I don't know. I thought the Mr. President was fucking hilarious.
That's because it was very funny, but it was also annoying. James, I'm tossing it back to you. You have the ball now. Would you like to keep it this time, or should I get us?
No,
you
no,
want me
no.
to set the stage for the campaign too?
I'm good to go. I think that I like your idea, Arthur, of for first session games getting straight in with as little intro as possible. Although I will quickly say that I was not a fan of Rad's intros at the end from BattleTech this week.
You're not into introductions?
I like both the intro and the outro, and by losing one, I feel like the show is diminished.
All right, so you're the first feedback I've heard. So if people do or don't agree with you, I need to hear that.
Okay. All right, then. So let me set the scene for this game. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Rogue Trader setting, I am keeping this in the standard Rogue Trader setting, which is the Koronus Expanse, and this is set in 816 M41. So this is all prior to the fall of Cadia, the Primaris Marines. This is all still at least 200 years in the future of this game. But thankfully, thanks to walk-fuckery, we can probably get to that point if we need to in this game as well. So to start off with, the camera fades in on a dim void ship corridor. The bulkheads are contorted and covered in the rust of ages. A chill wind blows through the passageway from some unknown source. We see more establishing shots of dank corridors, each one apparently moving up through the decks. Each part of the ship is decrepit and decayed. We start to see signs of recent occupation, work lumens set up on the floor, discarded toolboxes, till finally the camera settles on a pool of fresh blood and a human hand lying in it, its fingers contorted in rictus agony. We see more shots of the ship. We begin to see more bodies discarded around the halls of the void ship, all human, all recent, all slain by bolt and by blade. Several have been shot or stabbed from behind as they fled their apparent attacker. Finally, the camera reaches the bridge. The floor here is littered with corpses, and a dim light fills the chamber from the grey mist hanging outside its massive millennia-clouded void glass viewing station. A single figure stands before the ship's Vox console, a lone survivor of the massacre, or perhaps its perpetrator. A discarded bolt pistol lays on the ground several meters from the woman, and a twisted blade of Xenot's origin lays at her feet, its black edge slick with fresh blood. The woman, her features marred by the splatter of vitae, cradles an ancient las pistol in her arms like an infant. The console before her illuminates her features in a dull green glow. The words on the screen, recording saved. The woman turns the pistol over in her hands, examining every minute detail of the gold filigree that adorns its frame. Finally, she stops, peering down into the darkness of the weapon's barrel, as though looking for some secret clue. The camera cuts to the outside of the bridge and begins to pan away, revealing not a ship in the void, but a broken and shattered hull lying upon a desolate world with a roiling grey sky behind it. A sudden bright flash illuminates the bridge window from within, and the camera cuts to black. And I'm going to quickly move you to a different page. We now cut over to 3 months later. The Cowles estate, Cowles noble estate of Hive Sibyllus on the world of Scintilla, where Pondo, Pierre Cowles, has... you've got a meeting set up today. Basically, your mother, the rogue trader, Angelique Cowles, has organized for her family to purchase a new ship, a Falchion class frigate by the name of the Gilded Coin, from House Kryn, which is a major banking confederation and shipbuilder within the Calixis Expanse, or the Calixis sector. And the idea is, as someone who is not likely to be inheriting the warrant anytime soon, you're being given a trade charter, which is like a warrant of trade. It just means you can't leave the Imperium. You've got to basically operate from within the confines of the edges of the Imperium. But it means that you can do things like support the family's financial endeavors within the sector, help collect things from Port Wanda when they're brought in and distribute them around the place. It means that you're pretty much just not sitting on your ass in a noble house, passing the time. And so today you've got a meeting first off with the representative of House Kryn to finalize the purchase of this ship, take possession of the keys, so to speak. and also to meet with members of the crew that have been set up by your family. So the first person you're expecting is someone you actually already know, a gentleman by the name of Garth Valance, who was actually a childhood friend of yours, someone that you grew up with on Scintilla, but as far as you knew, he disappeared when you were still quite young. You'd heard rumors that he was sent off world for some reason, but now you're holding this data slate in your hand, which indicates that Garth has been assigned to your ship as its Astropath leader. So apparently Garth was sent to Terra as a Psyker and has returned now as an Astropath Transcended. So we're going to start off with the only two people in the room being, so first off, so Pierre, you're in, effectively call it a sitting room within your noble chambers in the top part of the hive. This is like, effectively, this is a mansion on high up in a hive, well above the cloud strata, so you can sort of see the blue sky and the clouds beneath it roiling with electrical storms. Here as well is Regil Kios, who is your major domo / surrogate parent. Effectively, you haven't seen your mother in about 30 years. She's been off cavorting about in the Expanse. You've been in the Calixis sector. Kios was effectively your mentor. He was an older man who was just hired to give you instruction on law, mathematics, all that sort of thing. But he also serves as he's the Arthur Pennyworth to your Bruce Wayne, basically. He's an older man, probably at least 200 years old, haggard frame, sort of partly hunched over, but he still wears like a long-tailed coat. He has all the sort of mannerisms of a servant, but he's also like a surrogate father. And he's just brought Garth in, having arrived from Terra, presumably, to be assigned to your ship. My lord, this is the Astropath Valance, as expected.
Excellent.
So that's you, Sid, by the way, if you forgot your own name.
Oh, sorry. I was, like I said, my brain is not 100% all here. So,
okay, no worries. I'll just say Garth. It's Garth.
There we go. Yeah.
Garth Valance.
So I'm boarding the ship.
No, you're not on a ship. You're on a mansion on a hive world, which belongs to your old childhood friend, Pierre Cowles. But you are being assigned to a ship that he's taking command of.
I'm strolling in, kind of looking around. I can swear your other mansion was larger.
Don't point that out. That's hurtful.
Your finances aren't decreasing, are they? Do you need a loan?
No. Do you need a loan?
No.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? You seem more... I don't know. I have this odd feeling you could explode at any second.
Why don't we actually stop and get a quick description of both characters, starting off with Pierre.
Pierre's probably right now just dressed in his casual, fine clothing. Furs, purple cape, fur collar. He's probably about average height, or whatever that means in 40K. I'm not sure. I would say probably around 5'9", 5'10". Long brownish hair, and probably just brown eyes as well. Probably holding a golden goblet of some sort of fancy aged wine, several millennia old.
I hope the cork held out on that.
All right, and Sid, and don't forget, by the way, Sid, that astropaths are physically blind, so you still count as functionally sighted because you can use your psychic power to perceive everything, including color, writing, etc. But it's up to you whether your eyes are clouded white or removed or covered or how you want to do it.
Covered. It's some form of blindfold, and I'll actually walk in kind of acting like I'm blind a little bit, bumping into things.
You watch that? There's some fine pottery right there that you could destroy at any second.
It's like, what do you mean? And turn and then bump one of them, and it just enough to roll a bit.
Just a wobble slightly.
Oh, there's something there. What is that? I'm kidding. I can see you just fine.
Oh, say, what are you blind?
How have you been? Technically, yes. Functionally, no. It's rather an odd thing to have one's eyesight removed, but, you know.
I guess
I could see you better than I could before.
Indeed, the last thing you physically saw was the God Emperor.
Hmm.
No.
Bit scary.
So there's a mechanical chime, and Kios goes off to check the door.
There's another flying servitor baby going to get it.
No, this is Kios goes. He's the butler.
Okay.
He buttles.
Cherubs, hit him.
Wow, your servants aren't actually all that's on the ball. Should probably replace them.
Maybe. They'll be going on to ship soon, so I might be getting new ones anyway.
We're not taking these servants with us, are we?
I don't think so.
Good. Let me know if I
Kios
need to bring any
returns
of mine.
with AP's character. So Arthur, it's basically taken you the best part of a year to get here from when you left the service of Angelique Cowles. Basically, you were transported to Port Wanda, but then she's just organized for the first available ship to take you on, pretty much probably a 7 or 8 stop tour of the Calixis sector getting back to Scintilla. There were no direct ships, or you were pretty much using pilgrim vessels. So yeah, you've been in transit now for probably about 12 months. And you've now arrived at the home of Angelique's third son, Pierre, and this butler has shown you into the sitting room where the other two are waiting. So why don't you describe yourself for their benefit? And Pondo, I'll say that you'll probably recognize this person as someone that you would have seen many, many years ago in the service of your mother. That's about it.
Nero
I pertinently pour myself a glass of wine without asking.
Nero Julius Augustus Bullet arrives. He's in full light enforcer carapace, so kind of blocky armor. Slightly taller than average. Definitely some form of militant, if not an actual soldier. There's no particular Imperial Guard markings or anything like that. Red eyes, short cropped black hair underneath the helmet. He is, however, wearing Ghostbusters style, a leg holstered long rifle with a massive backpack attached to it by a hose, and edging in over his left shoulder is a massive heavy bolter strapped in, so he's wearing almost his body weight in weight on his back. As he approaches, he gives a very grim look and says, "Master Cowles."
I gesture with my wine glass without even turning my head. Oh, you got new servants here already. Well done. Take a sip.
Yes, Nero, is it?
Yes.
You seem like you're ready for war.
That's what your mother has paid me for.
Fair enough.
The Lord Captain asks much of her attendance.
Fair enough. Please, sit somewhere. Make yourself comfortable. Take a, literal load off.
The butler approaches first, Garth, and says, "Lord Valance, may I take your coat?"
Oh, of course, yes, please, thank you.
And
kind.
Lord Augustus, may I take your assault weapon?
You may take the backpack and the hell gun. I will keep this heavy bolter on hand. So he shrugs out of his military backpack that contains all of his ammunition and unholsters the hell gun, which he hands over and says, "It's a relic. Don't injure it." And then he sits in like an overly plush chair that he sinks into and has the heavy bolter laid across his lap, just in case he needs to use it, ready to go.
Very good, sir. And he carries it carefully. He just puts it somewhere nearby, just
Thank
to
you, Kiosk.
lighten your load, and begins serving drinks as well from the same bottle that Valance poured from.
I'm already needing a second glass. I need no urge to drink this millennia-old wine.
Only water for me. Your finest hive water, not off the tap.
Oh, I see we have a person that will need to lighten up a bit. So you got the typical actually physical blind person where they're just kind of, their eyes are drifted down towards the table. But
Master Psyker, I find that there are many old soldiers, and there are many drunk soldiers, but there are not many old drunk soldiers.
obviously you haven't hung out in the bars that I've hung out in then.
I sense that we run in different circles, yes.
Oh, that's without a doubt.
Most the old drunk soldiers are
Drinks.
typically people who are late in their officer years. That's what I've seen.
So we cut over to a conveyance where a tech priest is being transported to the same property. So for the benefits of the audience and the camera, why don't you give ourselves a description of your character, please, Atomic?
So, Master Cyrax Lex here is about 6.5 feet tall, and in your traditional tech priest garb, but instead of red, his robes are definitely a dark shade of orange. Designated his forge world of birth and service. It's covered from head to toe almost, except for the top of his head, in metal plating. Lots of pistons, lots of wires hanging about. There's a large hydraulic arm over his left shoulder. I'll post a picture in the Rogue Trader channel here in a minute. And then off to his side, buzzing around, making anybody near it, it makes your teeth like itch. It's just, it's a little servo skull. It's just floating around, just hanging about, making a little buzzing noise, scanning everything, looking around, and then, returning essentially to its master's shoulder. He has these piercing yellow cybernetic eyes and a mask over his lower face, and definitely seems to be moving with purpose, and is waiting for these annoying menials to convey him to his new place of service.
So you're actually sort of thinking back as to why you're here, and the camera cuts to a flashback where we see an orbital forge station above a planet, and the words on the screen read Forge Complex Primus Orbital 3 Perinetus. And we see now Explorator Lex entering a chamber within the orbital, where a tech magos is sort of bodily interred into the machine of the Forge complex, and has multiple attached mechanical limbs working away at various consoles. You recognize, so this magos. He is a very high up individual within the Mechanicus of the Calixis sector, and he runs this Forge complex, which is basically a ship refitting and repair station for Battlefleet Calixis. You've been summoned here by this magos, apparently to receive orders from the Explorator Corps, and this one, he's had most of his brain now replaced by cogitator cells, so he is there's very little flesh left. You can see it, like sort of a quarter of his face is still visible in the mechanics of his head, but really you can't see much other flesh. And his various optical sensors look up and regard you as you come in. I am designated Exetor row 66.75, Mark 98. I've recorded a 4.46% increase in serotonin production based upon optical observation of your proximity, Explorator designated Cyrax Lex.
Yeah, it sounds about
I'm
right.
happy to see you.
Pretty much.
Jesus.
It would definitely make the sign of the cog mechanicus and essentially reply back in binary chant. It is my duty to serve the Omnissiah. What are my orders?
The following orders have been received from the Explorator Corps. The rogue trader designated Angelique Lucia Cowles has come to the note of the Cult Mechanicum. She was already recorded in our archives as she commands the Firestorm class void ship designated Hand of Calixis, which incorporates an Archaeotech plasma drive of the Jovian Class 2 pattern. Additionally, in 112787 M41, the rogue trader designated Angelique Lucia Cowles approached the Explorator Corps with Archaeotech components she had recovered from the void region designated the Koronus Expanse. In the 29.26 standard Terran cycle sense, the rogue trader designated Angelique Lucia Cowles has delivered 16 additional caches of Archaeotech to the Explorator Corps. On each occasion, the rogue trader designated Angelique Lucia Cowles has required payment for the recovered sacred technology. It is the analysis of the Explorator Corps that the probability of the rogue trader designated Angelique Lucia Cowles randomly discovering and recovering these 17 caches during this period is 0.0862%, with a margin of error of plus minus 0.0002%. Probable scenarios are: the rogue trader designated Angelique Lucia Cowles has located a single large cache of Archaeotech and is withholding sacred technology for her own advantage. Probability 68.48%. The rogue trader designated Angelique Lucia Cowles has obtained technology or individuals that are leading her to archaeotechnology caches. Probability 31.51%. All other scenarios negligible or within margins of error. Your orders, Explorator designated Cyrax Lex, are to enter the service of the rogue trader designated Angelique Lucia Cowles and identify the source of the Archaeotech she has recovered. The Explorator Corps could not place you on board the Firestorm class void ship designated Hand of Calixis. However, the biological offspring of the rogue trader is about to take command of a Faustian class void ship designated Gilded Throne that requires cult mechanical resources to operate it. You will join the crew of the Chartist captain designated Pierre Cowles under the pretense that you will serve as an Engineer Prime aboard the Faustian class void ship designated Gilded Throne. Your biological origin of the Forge World designated Riser will serve you well, as Riser originating adepts have always supported the sacred plasma drive aboard the Firestorm class void ship designated Hand of Calixis. You must find a manner by which your service can be transferred to the Firestorm class void ship designated Hand of Calixis in order to continue your mission. I calculate you will be able to complete your orders and return to report within 60 standard Terran cycles.
As the Omnissiah decrees, so shall it be.
Your service is recorded, Explorator designated Cyrax Lex. The Omnissiah directs our footsteps along the path of knowledge. Commence your compliance.
Just give him the cog mechanicus and then slight bow and then turn and walk away.
And we flash back to, yes, go ahead.
Is a cycle translated as a day, a month, or a year?
A year.
Okay.
So you've got 60 years to complete your mission. So then we flash back to you arriving at this noble house, and the same old man who we've seen on camera before opens the door. You must be the Explorator that was joining the crew, yes? Explorator Lex, am I correct?
You would be correct.
Yes. Lord Cowles is expecting you inside. Please, come with me.
Excellent.
And he escorts you into the same room as the others.
Yeah, I'll follow him.
So where you guys are sitting, in comes Kios along with a tech priest.
I'm being poured a third glass already.
Nero will nod to him and then look to make sure that Kiosk has not mishandled the backpack plus gun in a way that would upset a tech priest immensely?
Yeah.
No.
So Cyrax has, what you can see is definitely like on one, like kind of as his hip, has just, it's, you know, probably tell it's a power axe of some kind, except the head, instead of being like a normal axe, is shaped like half of a cog, which is fairly common amongst the tech priest, the Adeptus Mechanicus. And on his right shoulder, saddled in its own little holster, you can see the faint glow of a powered down plasma weapon. And the servo skull's buzzing around about him, but you know.
Yes, come, have a seat, relax, have a drink if you need or desire.
So the first thing he's going to do is going to look at the seat that's been offered to him. The structural support of this seat is inadequate. I believe my mass would cause it to collapse. Translation, I will stand. Thank you.
Okay.
He's too heavy.
I understood.
Once again, the doorbell chimes and Chaos leaves.
Nero is just observing everyone. I think it's clear that other than Cowles, he doesn't trust anyone here because he doesn't know why they're here.
Are we waiting on anyone else? Or
as we're standing about Cyrax's eyes, I mean, because they're cybernetic, but you hear clicking and zooming almost like a camera shutter as he's zooming in and like taking people in.
I don't know. I'd have to ask my.
when I hear that, I just say, make sure you get my good side.
I mean, you were expecting a representative of House Kryn regarding,
yes.
handing over of the ship. So, sure enough, Chaos returns with a man who, to set his visual impression, I'm going to start by saying he's very much like Baron Harkonnen, in that he is corpulent with like pox-covered pale skin, but dressed in like fine noble clothes, like a frill collar, exquisitely made coat. But he doesn't float like Baron Harkonnen does, but certainly he's he sort of more waddles on legs that sort of threaten to tear through the trousers that he wears. He has cybernetic augmentation of his right eye, so his whole right eye's been replaced, along with a significant sort of part of the side of his skull with some sort of cogitation cell, and he wears a lot of gold jewelry as well, along with a mark, like a necklace that would indicate that he's a member of House Kryn without actually being a blood family member. So he's a high-ranking servant of the household. Ah, excellent. Which one of you here is Captain or Lord Cowles?
That would be me.
He offers you a meaty, boil-covered hand. I'm Plutarch Norn, representative of House Kryn.
Yes. Do you have my keys, so to speak, to my new vessel?
Yes, well, there's been something of a change of plans, I'm afraid.
Of
good
course
Lord.
there are.
Yes, you see, well, I was hoping you might be able to help me with a small matter. It seems that the escrow account that your family set up to cover the cost of the vessel has been emptied out. About 4 months ago, we went to make a claim on the final payment and found that the funds were not there. Perhaps you could explain further how you plan to make the final payment.
Master Cowles,
Yes.
do you not
you
find
just-
it unusual that you are serving with some second-tier functionary who attends this meeting without a sister famulus?
Yes.
Level of disrespect to a member of a rogue trader warrant house.
We respect people with money. That seems to be a problem for your house right now. Your coffers are dry, Lord Cowles. House Kryn cannot be of any assistance to you under these circumstances. Thankfully, the liquidated damages clause of the contract that your mother signed will allow us to recoup our costs by selling the Gilded Throne to another buyer. But you will not get back your deposit.
Give me some time to investigate where my funds for this vessel went.
I suspect
well.
theft.
You do not find it unusual that these accounts were cleared 4 months ago and that this man has only just informed you today?
Yes, I do find it very unusual.
Do you offer an explanation?
We only access the escrow as it's required. The expectation was the funds would be in the escrow on the date of payment, which is today's date. We have the deposit slip where they were interred into the escrow, but according to the records, your own mother withdrew them 4 months ago on Port Wanda.
Hmm.
The doorbell rings again.
Send them in.
Kiosk disappears.
Yeah.
Norn goes and actually pours himself a drink as well from the open bottle.
Joke's on you, it was poisoned the entire time.
Wow, so everyone dies except for me and Cyrax. Great.
Cyrax
good.
doesn't have a lower jaw, so he doesn't eat or drink.
This has come from one of your family's vineyards, I see. You apparently make good wine, Lord Cowles.
Well, yes, when you have millennia to age, you didn't get the best flavor.
So Kiosk returns now with two people. The lead person is a woman who, for our intents and purposes, I say would appear to be in her late 30s, maybe early 40s. She's wearing like an elegant corseted black velveteen dress, but then on top of that, she's wearing like a nun's wimple on her head. She has various accoutrements that would indicate some affiliation with the Adeptus Sororitas. So she has a chaplet ecclesiasticus with prayer beads around her waist. She has the fleur-de-lis embroidered upon the sleeves of her dress. And she has like a very sort of imperious air about her. The second figure is a boy, probably 12, 14 years old, who is hunched over carrying a immense leather and wooden casket, basically, like a almost like a chest, like a travel chest, which is strapped to his back. And he's clearly sort of bearing the load of that quite uneasily as he sort of follows behind her. Kiosk says, I'm introducing Sister Miriam of the Adeptus Sororitas, Order Famulus, my lord.
Yes, thank you.
She walks over and holds her hand out, but like hand out, like hand up, basically.
He'll do the courteous gentleman thing and.
Very good, Lord Cowles. Well, should I say Lord Captain Cowles?
Well, maybe.
I've come to facilitate the transfer of power within your family on behalf of the Orders Famulus.
Thank you.
She turns around. Peck, my things. And the boy sort of drops the cast down on the ground, opens it up, and it's full of all sorts of clothing, possessions, some sort of technology. And she walks over to it and pulls out some sort of Medicaid gauntlet that she attaches to her wrist, and sort of like a number of small, like scalpels and drills and other sort of surgical implements extend from the gauntlet. Now, if you'd be so kind, Lord Captain, I need to collect a sample just to verify that you are who you claim to be.
Proceed.
All right. She comes over and gets you to hold a hand out, and her little thing makes a couple of relatively painless cuts. Extract a blood sample. She then examines the diagnostic display on the glove. Very good. Well, obviously the actual warrant is still on Terra, but I am having a facsimile produced that you'll be able to sign when we reach Port Wanda.
Yes.
Once again, condolences as well. And she walks over to put the diagnostic back in the box. Now, I do have a ship that I've organized to transport us, unless you have another manner of transport you'd like to take.
Not at the moment, honestly. Until I can get one issue fixed up first, but I don't see it being fixed up anytime soon.
Will these gentlemen be joining you?
Yes.
Will there be wine?
So Nero is going to say, Mr. Cowles, I also offer condolences. What loss have you suffered?
Apparently loss of my ship.
Bit impertinent offering condolences when you don't even know what someone has lost. I like that.
Nero just stares.
I'm talking about your mother, Lord Captain, and your brothers.
Are they dead?
You didn't receive the communication?
I'm going to go with a no there.
Right. At this point, like the Vox in the room rings, and Chaos is like, "I'll handle that," and he disappears off to go and answer the phone.
I wonder if that's the
gesture for the
message.
butler to pour him some more wine.
I love that someone else told him, and like 30 seconds later, it's like, oh, the mail appears. It's like, shit. Well, this is awkward.
I want to be clear, at this point, Nero does grab one of the open bottles and starts downing it, and then at the end of that, we'll just drop it on the floor so it breaks.
That must be the news.
So Nero, not Nero, Chaos comes back. My lord, you should take this call.
Guessing it's the news. Pierre will take the call.
Okay. So the call has come through from the Astropathic Choir Tower on Scintilla. So you're talking to like a perfunctory who basically just relates messages as they are collected by the choir.
Right.
Lord Cowles, we've received a communication from Port Wanda. It offers condolences at the passing of your mother and brothers, and informs you that your ship, the Hand of Calixis, has been abandoned in the Regina sector of the Koronus Expanse. By default, you are the heir of the Cowles dynasty, and an agent will be sent to facilitate transfer. Arrangements have been made to transport you to Port Wanda, where you could make further arrangements to potentially collect your ship and crew from its current location.
Yes, the arrangements you made to inform me to handle the transfer is already here and already informed me.
Very good.
What happened to my mother and siblings?
That wasn't in the communication, so I assume that would be something that you could determine further on Port Wanda. We just received notification. The Emperor protects.
Emperor protects. I think Pierre will hang up and clears the. It would appear so that my mother and siblings have perished. I have inherited the Hand of Calixis, so I will not be without a ship.
Did they die well?
I do not know.
Hopefully so, for blessed is he who in death does his duty.
You muted, AP.
Lord Captain, my condolences.
Yes.
Chaos says, I'll go and begin preparing things for transport, for travel.
Yes, please, at once.
He wanders off. So Sister Miriam sort of looks around the room. So, who are all of you then? Says we'll be traveling together.
Who are you then?
Well, as the manservant pointed out, I am Sister Miriam, Sister Famulus of the Order of the Shining Path. This is my assistant Peck. She indicates towards the boy, who just sort of nods and looks sorrowful. Well, no one else.
No one's going to
No.
introduce themselves, so I will.
Sid was gonna get.
Garth Valance, pleasure to meet you, sister, and Peck, apparently. Interesting. Care for some wine? It's quite good.
Well, I think I will. And she accepts. She doesn't get a glass, but she'll accept a glass if it's given to her.
I don't
Yeah, sort of-
hand anything. I just motion
Yeah.
for the butler.
The butler's off packing boxes, packing bags to get travel.
Oh, well, then I motion for someone else to pour for it.
Somebody. Get this one a
Nero
drink.
will step in and start doing the drinks.
The servo skull will float over with its little manipulators and do it. Cyrax will kind of give like a half bow and like a head nod, you know.
I am Cyrax Lex, Agency Prime. A pleasure, I'm sure. It will take me some time to correctly configure my flesh voice. It has been some time since I've had to use it. I don't suppose any of you are fluent in binary cant.
No, they missed that class at the Scholar for some reason.
Ha, no joke. I understand this.
And you, sir,
This one's going to be interesting.
she says, looking towards Nero.
He seems surprised to be addressed and says, Nero Julius Augustus Bullet. You may know me by my trade name, Nero the Blade.
Stiff bullet.
Yes, I've heard of you. You were in the service of the former rogue trader, were you not?
Yes.
And you've come to be here now? Are you aware of any? Can you shed any further light upon the circumstances of her death?
So Nero turns to look at Cowles and just stares blankly.
I'm taking that as a no. It would appear that
Lord Captain, I believe we should have a conversation before I answer any further questions along this line.
very well.
The business of the Cowles line is the business of the Cowles line. I apologize, sister.
Oh, secrecy already.
Well, I
Interesting.
will be joining you for the foreseeable future, but I understand your feelings on this matter. Peck, gather my things. We'll meet you at the Void Port. We've organized transportation aboard the ship Just Persecution. I'll give you, so we say 5 hours to prepare to depart. I'll inform Captain Feist. Good day to you, Lord Captain. It's been a pleasure. Gentlemen, I'll bid you adieu. Peck, come. She leaves with the boy.
I think when she stands up, Nero will also stand up. And as soon as she leaves, he sits down.
All right. She actually never sat down because you get the impression that her dress wouldn't easily
Accommodate
adjust to yeah, exactly.
Well, when she's moving, he's standing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shifting of a heavy bolter in all of this. The deliverance of drinks, the pouring of drinks, the standing, the sitting, the barrels being pointed in many directions.
So yeah, during this, there's it's a kind of a, for those who don't know, a binary cant is just literally just binary, but it's just transmitted in like microsecond bursts. And it seems like Cyrax is arguing with his servo skull, and the little mechadendrite just zips out of his robe, grabs it, and just pulls it into the robe. And he just acts like nothing has happened.
Is your machine spirit upset, priest?
My servo skull is a interesting machine spirit. It likes to disagree from time to time.
Is that safe?
We have an astropath here, and you're worried about if my servo skull is safe. I think you must readjust your priorities.
The Astropath is within range.
And so is the servo skull.
Yes.
I do believe he's saying mind your own business.
The blind one is correct.
He'll like pull aside his robe real quick, and like there's a section of where part of like a lung should be. There's just a socket, and now there's a servo skull just lodged in there, like its own little space. And then he'll pull the robe back over.
It's perfectly fine, I assure you.
Lord Captain, do you require anything further of me before we begin transit?
No, I would just say that you get your things ready to what you need or want.
I have a need to speak with someone.
Is that someone me?
We should have a conversation at some point, yes.
Is there
He's
another
saying
someone you
yes, he
speak
just
with?
doesn't want us to hear it.
I have other business in port.
I'll look towards Garth.
I believe he would like us to, what does the guardsman say, feth off.
So, I mean, at this point, Nero's standing up and putting his backpack back on and sticking his Ghostbuster gun back in the holster.
So Sid, you also get like a chime on your microbead, or you basically what happens, you get sent like effectively a text file. So basically, astropathic communication works that in a way that effectively they don't send actual words and messages. They send more sort of symbolism and concepts. And the idea is that the astropath on the other end interprets that to work out what the actual message data is. So the better the interpretation, the more the message comes through. So the astropaths on Scintilla have basically sent you a copy of the raw data that they received from communication from Port Wanda. So if you want to, you can spend some time with it trying to see if there's any further data that might come from what was sent from Port Wanda, basically. If you do want to do that, it would be a Scholastic Law Cryptology roll at +20.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it a bash.
First roll of a new game.
What happens? That's not terrible. I mean,
Failure
That's right.
with
So-
a -1 degree of success.
So you pull out that basically what you were told was that effectively the road trader and other heirs both died, presumably in the same incident, and that the ship itself was abandoned within the Expanse, and that effectively claiming the line properly will have to happen on Port Wanda, because that's where a local copy of the warrant is kept. But then apparently there are other people from the ship on Port Wanda that might have more information. That's what I'll give you from what you get out. Okay.
So apparently they're covering all their bases. I just received a message about your mother's untimely demise. My apologies, by the way. That we should take possession of the ship upon reaching Port Wanda, and most likely, if we seek any additional information, we should probably speak with any of the crew. More wine?
No.
Don't mind if I do. I pour myself in the glass.
So do Nero and
Nero's
Pierre
already
separate
gone.
themselves? Okay. So
I'll
probably you're going to
see
seek
you
him
two
out for
gentlemen at the vessel for our show takeoff.
Oh, we're leaving right now.
Yes.
Oh, well, damn. Down my glass of wine hurriedly. Very well.
I'll see you all soon, hopefully.
I suppose I'll meet you at the ship or something.
Yes.
All right. Well, if anyone goes to leave, Kios will show them out.
Yep.
Stop doing what he's doing to show people out.
Yes, please show them out.
Yeah, James, when you're prepared, Nero would like to search for someone in this hive.
Certainly. What would you like to look for?
Nero has a very high level of knowledge in regards to Scala, Tactica, Secret Military, Common Lore War. What he's looking for is like an old war buddy who knows a lot about Space Marines. He wants to talk to them privately about some information that's come across his path.
Okay, no worries. Well, you've got Pierre Military as well, which is a So, the only limitation is going to be that because to get from the top of the hive down to the bottom hive would actually take you a couple of days.
I'm looking for someone
so look close by that you can reach out to as such. Okay. What I will do is I would like I think inquiry or. Actually, I'm happy to say that you can reach out to somebody. What they know might be slightly limited, but you managed to. So we cut to a scene maybe a couple of hours later. So you're in a bar where effectively this is a place that soldiers tend to hang out, and you're at a booth with a soldier you fought alongside in the past. So a PDF soldier rather than an Imperial Guardsman. He's certainly moved up in the ranks now. He's sort of got like a junior officer's rank. And there's a drink in front of each of you.
Congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you. It's been a while. Have you been keeping safe?
No.
Excellent. Wherever we go, there's only war. So it sounded like there was an urgent matter when you reached out to me before.
I will
You're
be
only here for a short time.
Leaving the planet shortly, but there is a matter that requires my immediate attention.
Okay, what can I help you with?
So he walks through the process of describing what is essentially Death Watch Marines. One shoulder pad with the Inquisition seal of Death Watch, and the other with chapter seals. And he says, "I do not know the special significance of these Marines, but I'm curious about their chapters." And he pulls out a description of what those chapters seals look like, and he says, "White lightning bolt on a blue shield, gray background, silver skull on a black field."
And presumably, because you said you could potentially draw them as well.
I could potentially draw them. I send you the images you have sent me of what they look like.
So he takes a look at both of them, and he pushes aside the one with the lightning bolt on the shield. So this one I don't know, but the other one I've seen them around the sector before. Silver ceramide armor, normally with a black shoulder pad. Silver skulls, I think. One of the subsequent founding chapters. Obviously, the Startes are so far above us soldiers that I never really interacted with them, but I have seen their like before. I couldn't honestly tell you what they're doing here, but I'd say that would be, if it was in my mind, that would be Silver Skulls.
You know where they're based out of?
I think that they were traveling through the sector. I think they come from the Ultima Segmentum originally. That's what I heard. They came in battle barges, so they had their own fleet.
And this is a loyal chapter.
Oh yes.
Nero
True sons of the Emperor.
Yeah, Nero slaps him on the back and pours him another drink and tosses some gelt to the bartender and says, "Do you know anywhere around here where I can acquire a suspenser?" I was looking to use my profit factor for an acquisition. Yep. I haven't done it yet.
you're in the right area. So I could take you to a couple of places that. Let's finish the drink, and I'll take you to a couple of places that might have them in stock.
It should be clear that Nero doesn't drink alcohol with this guy. He's just drinking like water.
Okay.
But yeah, he finishes downing the glass with him.
I'll have a club soda.
Yeah, exactly. White Russian, hold the vodka.
Look, man, he's a designated flyer. Okay, you just gotta.
So the way I'm going to do acquisition is that each character can make one acquisition test per session.
Okay.
If you don't want to make an acquisition test in the session, I'm happy to save that one as a +10 to a future test as well. So I'll tell you what the difficulty will be, and you can decide whether you want to do that test now.
Yeah.
So the base profit factor of your group is 39. Now we go to a Suspenser.
Extremely rare.
Extremely rare, which is a -30. You only want one, which is +30. So your chances of finding one would be a 39% chance.
Yeah.
You can make a commerce test before making that roll to try and improve that chance. Now, anybody can make that commerce test as well. So this is one of those things where normally it's helpful to have a rogue trader or a seneschal to make that commerce test first to improve the chances.
I agree to what you were saying. However, this is not how Nero operates at the moment.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just from a mechanical point of view, that's how it works.
Understood. Here and now, he wants this thing before he gets on board a ship and travels for another year.
Yep. So, did you want to make that roll now?
I absolutely do.
Okay. So,
is there a place to click the roll, or do I just do 1d100?
You have to do 1d100. You could do roll 1d100 less than 39. We'll tell you if you succeed or not.
That's true.
Or you can just do. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So, yep, with the help of this guy, in fact, I probably should have I would have given you Pierre Military on top as well if you'd missed out by less than 10. So, yep, sure enough, you're able to sort of, you've got to certainly use Cowles' name. Like say, I'm in the service of Cowles now, and effectively he has.
I think rather than Cowles' name, he would use the name of the Hand of Calixis because it's such an intimidating ship.
Yeah, and you're a known servant of the Cowles dynasty as well, so. Yep, so certainly you're able to acquire a Suspenser.
He slaps it on the bottom of the gun, and then from now on we see him carrying it left-handed by his side rather than on his back. Like a briefcase.
Yep.
Briefcase made of gun. That's all for Nero. He'll be at the exact moment 5 hours have passed, he'll be right there at the just persecution.
You're pulling a desperado. You've got a guitar case that is a gun.
Yeah.
The just persecution itself's in high orbit, but you're taking
we're taking a transport up there. Yep,
that's right. Yeah, that's it. Anyone else want to do anything in those few hours before you've got to meet the transport?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay.
Just go drink.
Several hours later, you make your way to the void station, and Sister Miriam and Peck are waiting there for you. Kios has turned up as well. Probably he's pulled a few more household servants in to carry all of Cowles' baggage. Yep, there is a basic military lander craft, probably something like an Aquila. An Ibis lighter, waiting to transport you to the just persecution. There is a naval officer there waiting for you as well. I am Commander Adak. The first officer to the Lord Captain, to Commander Feist. I want to welcome you aboard the just persecution. We'll be transporting shortly. Is there anything else you require brought with?
There a private room on this transport?
No, it's a military transport. It's basically one room in a cockpit.
Then no. Very
well.
Would that be an in-flight meal?
I have a serious question.
Yes.
This is out of character. What is a bolter cane?
A bolt.
That's exactly what it sounds
cane
like.
With the bolter at the end of it?
It's exactly what it sounds like.
Where did you find this? Was this in the Excel sheet?
It's in the Excel sheet under shop.
Yep. So it's pretty much a one-shot bolter. Well, it fires one bolt out of a cane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want this. I was just looking through. I saw Bolter Cane. Oh.
That
all
way
right.
you can point your cane at someone. Now listen here, you, and then boom.
I didn't fight through 3 tyrannic wars to deal with your bullshit, son.
The ultimate get off of my lawn.
So the transport takes you up to the Just Persecution, which is a sword class frigate. So very similar to the Firestorm that is the Hand of Calixis, slightly smaller, only by a factor of a couple of 100 meters. The main difference is that the extra length of the Hand of Calixis is made up entirely in its lance weapon, whereas the sword class only mounts a couple of macro batteries, no lance. And once you take it on board, it is every part the classic naval ship. Everything is given to function. There is no ostentation at all. Probably still soldiers will salute, or navalmen will salute you as a fellow captain or as a lord captain. But otherwise, they just go about their various tasks, maintaining the ship. You're taken up to the state quarters of the Lord Captain. So he is an officer, probably in our terms, maybe about 50 years old. He's a commander by rank rather than captain, but he would still be referred to as captain on board his boat. He is dressed in a well-pressed military uniform, doesn't have much in terms of cybernetic augmentation, but certainly has scars of multiple void battles. Lord Captain Cowles, I am Commander Feist of the Just Persecution, Patrol Group 686. Welcome aboard.
Yes, thank you.
The Adeptus Sororitas has pulled us out of our regular patrol path to transport you to Port Wanda. I've organised what best I can in terms of quarters for you and your senior staff. Is there anything in particular you think you might need during the translation? We're expecting the travel to Port Wanda should take us about 4 weeks, depending upon the tides of the warp.
Nothing at the moment.
Very well. Well, I will extend the offer to you and your senior crew to share a meal with me each night. Otherwise, I'll be seeing to the maintenance of the Just Persecution. If there's anything you need, please see my senior officers, and we'll have you there and off and back to our path as soon as we possibly can.
Very well.
So you guys are given quite nice rooms. These are probably set up so that if senior officers come on board, they do have like some state rooms they can use. So they do have, decoration and comfortable beds. You're not just using bunks. And because there's so few of you, effectively each of you are able to get a similar room. Along with Miriam gets a room like this as well. You have like a separate dining area that you can use for your meals, other than what you do with the captain. And for the most part, you have like an area of the ship that is kept to yourselves for the warp travel. Sid, you're probably able to spend a bit more time with the data that was sent to you in this time as well, and what you can determine, just basically effectively by taking 20 equivalent, is that apparently, so the Hand of Calixis is not at Port Wanda. The Hand of Calixis is actually still inside the Expanse. That apparently the Rogue Trader's death was discovered by a merchant vessel that she had contracted to carry goods to the Regina system. When they reached the Regina system, they contacted the Hand of Calixis and were told that she and her senior crew were dead, and that the ship was not able to function, and that they were asked to transport her navigator back to Port Wanda. And so her navigator is at Port Wanda. Otherwise, the rest of the crew that are alive are still on the Hand of Calixis inside the Expanse in a world called, or in orbit of a world called Regina 4.
Okay.
questions on that at all? It's all pretty straightforward.
No, it's all pretty straightforward. I'll message that to our illustrious leader, but just to be a dick, I'm going to send it to him in Braille.
You get what looks like Morse code pretty much, Pondo, and when you try and translate it from Morse code, you get nothing.
Google Translate.
Translate.
The subject line is just have fun. No, I'll send it to him in normal text.
For your benefit, Pondo, you would know as well that your family actually has like quarters on Port Wonder. You actually have, like, once again, effectively a mansion on this station as well as. Yep. Sorry.
It's the bigger mansion.
No, it's actually a smaller one. It's a smaller one because Port Wonder is limited for space.
Oh, I'm going to comment on that.
So unless anyone wants to do anything in particular, I'm going to say that the journey itself to Port Wonder is relatively uneventful.
I definitely want to make sure Nero and Cowles have a conversation.
Okay, no worries. Well, let's do that then. Let's do that.
So Nero is going to find Cowles somewhere and hand him several scrolled documents pertaining to the function of the Hand of Calixis, the best places to eat on board, condolences about his brothers, gangways through which one can make the fastest transit. And while he's doing this, he says, "Do you have a moment to speak privately, Lord Captain?"
Yes. Not doing anything else on this ship. Or wherever we are. Assume we're still on the ship before we get there?
We are on a ship right now. We are translating through the warp.
Yes. What would you like to discuss?
So, I think he'll wait until they find some sort of private room, and he says, "There was many things happening with Lord Trader Cowles, or Rogue Trader Cowles' staff aboard the Hand of Calixis."
Go on.
Would you like to know?
Yes.
I would caution you about repeating what you hear here to anyone else. Lord Captain, I am not certain what my position is on your staff currently, but I would say that you have chosen interesting and perhaps less than trustworthy company to accompany yourself.
Well, one was just kind of sent to me. The other was a childhood friend, so...
Yes, precisely. You're missing the last one, but yes. The sister.
The sister superior? Or not superior?
Order Famulus, yes.
Yes.
She has inserted herself into your retinue with little questioning.
She's the one overseeing the transfer of the inheritance. So again, not too much point to it, but not too much that I could say about it, but I understand what you're getting at.
I see that you differ from your brothers and mother in many ways.
This is fair. I have not seen them in quite some time.
They have not seen you in some time either.
That's how that works, yes. Please, what would you like to discuss?
So I want to be clear, when he said that, Nero was going to say, they spoke of you often, but then he remembered that they've literally never mentioned Pierre. So he covered up with something else. How should I refer to the previous Lord Captain? She is an extremely unique woman, and I would hate to disrespect her memory.
You probably know her better than I do, so...
Yes.
go with how you feel.
I will be saying the words Lord Captain quite a bit, then.
That is fine.
Very well, Lord Captain. You should know that the Lord Captain was involved in several expeditions to Regina 4. It is a human world. My understanding is that it came from before the Emperor expanded the Imperium in this direction. They are primitives, tribesmen, essentially, with no discernment of the Emperor's light. And James, I want to be clear here, he's not saying God Emperor, he's just saying Emperor.
Okay.
When we arrived on Regina 4, we would remove Archaeotech, which was then sold for quite a good price. I believe to the Adeptus Mechanicus. But on several occasions, I had witnessed Space Marines, which I have come to find were members of the Inquisition's Death Watch teams. One was a member of the Silver Skulls chapter. When I noticed these men on board, I was told not to ask any further questions. And shortly after that, I was reassigned to the service of some third-rate little brother who was being given a warrant of trade.
Slightly hurtful, but I understand.
You know, Mother, the Lord Captain, had become withdrawn, and her expeditions were unusual. I am not a explorator. I am not someone with supreme technical ability. But even to my eyes, her uncanny ability to acquire technology was not something that was random. She had a focused plan. My understanding is that her final act after sending me off was to once again return to Regina 4 in search of more Archaeotech.
Perhaps she was looking for something else.
Perhaps.
Maybe calling for her.
Nero, so when Nero says perhaps, there's one of those foreboding, like he knows that there is, but he's not saying it. You know, it's one of those camera zoom in moments.
Would you like to speak what's on your mind? Or are you wanting to keep more secrets for now to extend for later?
Lord Captain, I have found that rumors bear little weight, and that truth has a heft of a hammer to it. There are things that I have not confirmed with my own eyes that I would prefer before I pass them along to you.
Well, if the Death Watch were involved, then it must mean that something not necessarily of old of mankind was of interest, but perhaps something more of the Xenos line, maybe.
I apologize,
Of
Lord
the
Captain. You speak of things for which I know nothing of.
Okay.
Death Watch. It is but a name to me.
Typically, they only go after interests or enemies of Imperial as far as Xenos.
If I might return to one of my earlier inquiries. What is to be my position among your retinue?
Well, considering the arsenal that you carry, I'd figured Arch-Militant would probably be more your style.
I'm afraid I don't know of that position aboard a ship.
Okay. Well, there's time for me to tell you.
Yes, about 4 weeks worth.
Yes. And you just spend that time just informing Sir Nero of his position as Arch-Militant.
Still not a position aboard a ship.
Whichever position would mean that. What position were you going for?
Master of Ordnance. Guy
There
who
you go.
shoots the gun.
Yeah, there you go. Give
I
me
mean,
the guy who
also-
shoots the gun.
Bodyguard as well. While
Yeah.
I think that's part of the Arch-Militant on away missions.
Lifeguard.
I don't know that bodyguard is strictly the correct description of Nero.
Well, it is now.
Well, combat expert, but more so.
Bulldozer?
So let me ask you, Arthur. So during this journey, what does Nero's busy work look like? So, is he training? Is he meditating? What sort of how does he busy himself aboard the ship for 4 weeks? Many ships now, pretty much the last year.
I mean, yeah. So he does extensively maintain good physical health. And he interacts with the Imperial Navy, members of the crew, insofar as, like bare cordialness. But I'd say that most of his time is spent depleting the armory of ammunition.
Okay. So you observe, by the way, that you get followed around a bit by Peck. It's not so much like he's stalking you through the corridor. More about if you go somewhere to train, he tends to go and watch you train. It's like he's got something about you enamors him or something, but he does follow you around a bit.
Nero will definitely stop him at some point after a few days of this, and just say, "Peck."
Sorry, Oswald, sir. My name is Oswald.
Why are you referred to as Peck?
Mistress Miriam calls all of her servants Peck. I don't know the reason.
I understand, Oswald. He's going to give him like a discerning glance and say, "Why has Miriam sent you to observe me?"
Is that what you say? You're glancing or you're saying that?
I mean, he's glancing at him and saying that. Yes.
I see. Okay, sorry. My mistress didn't send me. She has left me to my own devices while aboard this ship. She attends to her other works. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause any offense. I simply admired your fervor, the inner strength, I guess.
Thank you, Oswald.
I'll leave you
My
alone if
understanding
that's
of
your
your
wish.
duties is that you carry around a large coffin on your back and drop it.
I have other duties to my mistress, but when she travels, that is, I am her porter. But I also, I carry messages. I run errands.
Do you ward for her? Are you
what
expected to engage in combat on her behalf?
I have not been formally trained. I came from a relatively violent past, so I've never been told that's my role, nor have I ever been armed. But I would stand up to defend her if she were attacked with whatever I had at hand at the time.
He's going to list off a series of times and say, "If you are there with punction, I will train you to be stronger so that you may carry that coffin better.
So he'll show up for these things. If he doesn't show up, he always manages to somehow send a note saying that, you know, Sister Miriam requires him elsewhere, to apologize he's not there. But he certainly does apply a degree of some sort of hero worship to Nero.
Nero's never handing this child a gun. How old is this kid?
Like 12.
Yeah, no, not handing this kid a gun.
What about like a training sword or something? You know, although Nero's not really a melee combat, are you though? So
I mean, Nero has a sword, but we haven't seen it yet, and he prefers not to use it.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, but he just hangs around. He's not really in any trouble, and if any point he does seem like he's in trouble, he leaves. So, but
I think at some point in the voyage, Nero would also like to speak with Garth.
Okay, so Garth, you are approached by Nero at some point on the ship.
Ah, Nero, care for some wine?
He pulls out a water bottle and says, "I will imbibe from my bottle."
Whiskey man, then. Very good.
Might we sit for a moment? I wanted to speak with you.
Of course. What can I do for you?
It is difficult having this conversation, but I suspect you may have had it before.
I've had many conversations.
Should the situation
You have to be a little bit more
arise,
specific.
I would simply like to know your preference in funerary rites and execution style. I would wish to show respect for your traditions and bodies as best necessary.
Execution style. Are you curious as to my preferred manner of being killed?
Well, some prefer not to be shot in the head with a heavy bolter round. Or 7.
See, me, I prefer not to die at all.
I'm
It's not
afraid
much
that
fun
that is
being
not
dead.
an option.
So you're saying you will kill me?
No, I'm saying at some point you will die. However, given
see.
your unique condition, I simply wish to offer respect for your wishes.
Unique condition? Last time I checked, being blind wasn't a disease.
What a jest.
Well, so what is it exactly you are asking me?
Should
Be
you
plain.
lose control, how would you prefer to be dealt with? And afterwards, what would you like done with the body?
If, by any means, that I were to meet an untimely fate, I wish it to be in a bed with many women and many bottles of wine. Short of that, I would find the method of departure to be most unsatisfying.
There are few in these times who find the peace that you do. I find it is best not to hope for the best, but to plan for reality.
No, what I believe you're doing is actually expecting the worst.
Master Valance, I am not expecting the worst if I am planning to shoot you. The worst is when I am not able to shoot you.
Right, is that do you get part then, or Just all
Yeah,
the
I feel like Nero's having a very unsatisfactory meeting here, and he's just looking over Garth, generally assessing where the most optimal location to kill him would be.
On the body or in the room?
On his physical body, like.
Yes.
You know, Nero's just keeping in mind that if he goes full psychery, like, it's not like he has a Psychonic Mercy knife on him, and, you know, if it's necessary, he's just gonna find some place he can shoot Garth that'll still leave a nice funeral. As he's leaving, Garth will take a sip out of his water bottle and say, I will...
Do you mean Nero?
Yeah, sorry. Nero will take a sip from his water bottle and say, I will see to it that your body is treated with the respect and disposal procedures of the Imperial Creed.
If you happen to somehow manage to bring me down, I would expect no less.
Do you believe that you are capable of surviving?
I am a person in a unique position to be able to state that with hope, anything is possible.
Yes, that's the problem. Through you, there is a gateway to literally anything. Nero's just gonna glare darkly and then turn and leave. That's it for me.
Come back anytime you'd like some wine.
So
Pour myself
before you
another
reach
glass.
before you reach Port Wanda, Sister Miriam does request everybody gather, like probably towards the end, for a quick, I guess, briefing prior to reaching the space station.
All right, quick question. How swole is Oswald now? Like, you know, I just want to know if he's put on a kilo or two, you know, maybe a little shoulder muscle.
So I think I said in chat that my headcanon image for Peck/Oswald is young Gendry from Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah.
So yes. So he's looking at more old Gendry now.
Yeah, exactly.
So Miriam basically organizes one of the final meals with the captain to talk to everybody about when you get to Port Wanda. Now, there's a few things that are probably worth doing once you reach Port Wanda. We'll need to organize, obviously, to transfer the warrant. That should be a relatively perfunctory matter. You'll need to find a way, if you wish to claim your ship, to enter the Expanse. Without having access to a ship yourself, you should probably consider reaching out to one of the other rogues on the station and see if you can transport you to this Regina world to collect your ship. It might also be worthwhile, while you're on Port Wanda, if you think there may be some issues with the crew of your ship, potentially going to the pressment center to requisition some additional crew.
Is there reason to believe that crew will need to be requisitioned? My understanding is that only senior staff had been eliminated. See, how much of your message did you share with everybody? So I'm going to assume that the message at least was shared with. Would you have shared the message with Miriam Pondo, or would you have kept that information about what happened on the ship?
I would have shared anything pertinent to his family and his family's holdings with him and him alone.
Yep.
If he chose to share that with anyone else, that would have been his prerogative.
I mean, she's just assuming that if the ship is Lorne, like if the ship is stuck in space, there's a reason for it, and that having additional crew might help.
So instead, Nero will say, any crew members who would need to join the Hand of Calixis would need to be of the caliber that we require of such a ship.
And what caliber would that be?
The caliber of
50?
the crew members of the Hand of Calixis.
50? 762?
We have a reputation.
I mean, there are certainly people on any ship whose job it is to purely shovel shit. Do you really need to have that skilled an individual for such a task?
The Hand of Calixis is like family.
Very well. It's, of course, up to you. I would point out, though, that the people you would fight at the pressment center will probably not be good for much more than shoveling the aforementioned shit.
Have you shoveled a lot of shit in your time, Sister Miriam?
I've dealt with other problems of a similar nature.
Not all shit takes the same form. His smile.
I think Nero is just staring at her, like, trying to figure out what her place in this group is.
She's the tutorial advisor, of course. What do you think she is?
All right, well, this is, before you reach point, this is probably a good place to take a break, I believe.
Okay.
Very well.
We'll be back for the second half in about 8 minutes. Stick around, friends.